You think liars reveal themselves with complicated stories. You think they sweat, stutter, or break eye contact when you confront them. You believe that because you are observant, you can easily spot deception in their answers. You are completely wrong. Right now, master manipulators are not giving you answers at all. They are interrogating you, but they are not asking questions to gather facts. They are weaponizing questions to study your reactions, shift the focus, and completely hijack your reality. When you constantly defend yourself against a liar's questions, you are no longer an equal participant in the conversation. You are a hostage in a psychological game. Today, we are going to perform a clinical autopsy on the anatomy of deception. We will expose the exact biological mechanism manipulators use to freeze your brain, and we will break down the 7 specific questions liars always ask before the truth finally exposes them. That feeling you get when someone evades your question with another question, leaving you more confused than when the conversation started, that is not your fault. It is a calculated pattern. And if you are tired of doubting your own sanity, pay very close attention. Your ability to detect this pattern will dictate whether you rule your reality or become a pawn in someone else's. Let us begin by dismantling the core illusion of lying. You assume that a lie is a statement. Clinically, a sophisticated lie is a redirection of energy. From an evolutionary perspective, when humans are confronted with a direct accusation, the nervous system triggers an intense fight-or-flight response. Amateurs panic and start talking. They build elaborate, fragile stories that eventually collapse under their own weight. But apex predators, those with dark triad traits, do not panic. They understand that the person asking the questions holds all the power. So, the moment you confront them, they do not answer. They immediately attempt to steal the power back by forcing your brain into a defensive posture. They do this by asking the first dangerous question. Why would I lie to you? The moment you try to answer this, you have already lost. This is a brilliant Machiavellian redirection. Notice what happens here. You brought forward evidence or a valid suspicion. Instead of addressing the facts, the liar forces you to construct a psychological motive for their behavior. They demand that you explain their dark intentions. This creates a massive spike of cognitive dissonance in your brain. Because you are an empathetic person, your brain immediately starts searching for logical reasons, and in doing so, you step away from the cold, hard facts. You are no longer holding them accountable, you are now defending your right to be suspicious. You have just been successfully manipulated. They shifted the entire burden of proof from their actions onto your perception. The second question operates on a much darker level of threat assessment. Who told you that? When a manipulator asks you who told you that, they are not looking for context. They are executing a clinical damage control protocol. They need to map the exact perimeter of the breach. They are trying to find out exactly how much you know, who the leak is, and how far the information is spread before they decide which version of reality they are going to sell you. If they know only one person saw them, they will attack that person's credibility. If they know you have no solid proof, they will deny it completely. They are buying time to calibrate their deception. You are joining the minority who sees the game, while the 95% remain trapped. Let us pause here. Look at what is happening. The average person gets defensive at this point. The average person starts explaining their sources, justifying their intuition, and getting tangled in a web of endless explanations. But you are no longer the average person. You are learning to read the invisible architecture of human behavior. You are beginning to realize that the questions they ask are actually confessions in disguise. You see the mechanism clearly, while everyone else is still arguing about the details. This elevation in your awareness brings us to the third predatory question. Do you really think I am that kind of person? This is the ultimate guilt trip, engineered to weaponize your own empathy against you. The liar completely abandons the realm of logic and facts, dragging you forcefully into the messy territory of identity and emotions. They want you to feel terrible for even suspecting them. Your primitive brain is wired for social harmony. We are biologically conditioned to avoid insulting the people in our tribe. When they ask if you think they are a bad person, your natural instinct is to soothe them, to backtrack, and to soften the blow. You find yourself saying, "No, of course not. I just wanted to ask." And just like that, the lie survives. The conversation is no longer about their betrayal. It is about your lack of faith in their character. They played the victim, and you apologize for catching them. This leads directly into the fourth question, which is designed to shatter your grip on reality. Why are you overreacting? This is the textbook definition of gaslighting. When a manipulator asks why you are overreacting, they are executing a deliberate attack on your amygdala, the emotional center of your brain. By minimizing the issue, they are not just denying the facts, they are invalidating your physiological response to the facts. They are telling you that your anger, your hurt, and your suspicion are completely irrational. Over time, this question works like a slow poison. If you hear it enough, you will stop trusting your own judgment. You will start believing that you are too sensitive, too dramatic, and fundamentally broken. You will lower your boundaries voluntarily because you no longer trust yourself to enforce them. The elite mind does not argue with gaslighting. It observes it coldly. Here is your second awakening. Most people let this question destroy their self-esteem. They spend years in therapy trying to figure out why they are so crazy, completely unaware that their reality was systematically dismantled by a predator. But you do not play that game anymore. You do not absorb their projected chaos. You recognize that when someone calls you crazy for noticing their disrespect, it is the ultimate confirmation that your intuition is perfectly calibrated. Your clarity is what makes you dangerous to them. You are stepping into a level of untouchable sovereignty. Let that sink in as we examine the fifth manipulative question. Don't you trust me? This is a classic hostage negotiation tactic. The liar takes the concrete issue at hand and suddenly inflates it to test the entire foundation of the relationship. They replace the search for truth with immense emotional pressure. It is a binary trap. If you say, "No, I do not trust you," you are initiating a massive relationship-ending conflict that you might not be emotionally prepared for yet. If you say, "Yes, I trust you," then you are forced to drop the accusation immediately to prove it. They're using the social contract of loyalty as a shield to hide their deception. They are forcing you to choose between your intuition and the survival of the relationship. And sadly, most empathetic people will choose the relationship, quietly swallowing their doubt and letting the liar walk away unpunished. A demand for blind trust is the ultimate red flag of a hidden lie. The sixth question manipulators use is a masterpiece of temporal distortion. Why are you bringing this up now? Notice the subtle genius of this evasion. They are no longer defending the action, they are attacking your timing. By questioning why you chose this exact moment to confront them, they shift the battlefield. Suddenly, you are the one under the spotlight, forced to explain your schedule, your memory, and your motives. They will accuse you of ruining a good day. They will accuse you of holding on to the past. They will do absolutely everything in their power to make the conversation about when it is happening rather than what actually happened. It is a smokescreen designed to exhaust your cognitive resources. By the time you finish justifying your timing, you will not have the energy left to fight for the truth. This brings us to the final, most exhausting question in the liar's arsenal. What exactly are you trying to say? This is the stalled tactic of a cornered animal. First, they are buying themselves crucial seconds to adjust their alibi. Second, they are hoping that in your frustration, you will use the wrong word, exaggerate a detail, or lose your temper. The moment you make a slight verbal mistake, they will pounce on it. They will ignore the massive lie they told and focus entirely on the tiny inaccuracy in your explanation. They will derail the entire confrontation over a technicality. They want you confused because confusion is where they thrive. This is the third and final shift in your identity. The old version of you would have fallen for every single one of these traps. You would have exhausted yourself answering their questions, defending your tone, justifying your timing, and apologizing for your suspicions. But you are done bleeding energy into dead ends. You now understand the mechanics of deception better than the manipulators themselves. You realize that your conscience was the battlefield, and they were using your own empathy as ammunition. You are no longer prey. You are the apex observer. So, how do you defeat the 7 questions? How do you destroy the manipulator's strategy? The answer is brutally simple. You do not answer them. You apply the Machiavellian law of absolute silence. When they ask, "Why would I lie to you?" you look them dead in the eyes and you say nothing. When they ask, "Why are you overreacting?" you hold unbroken eye contact and let the suffocating silence fill the room. You refuse to engage with their deflections. You refuse to explain yourself. You simply state the fact, and you let it sit there like a heavy stone. Clarity quietly destroys every lie. A liar cannot manipulate silence. They cannot gaslight a person who refuses to argue. When you stop providing them with answers, their entire psychological framework collapses. They will panic. They will expose themselves simply because you refuse to play their game. This is the dark power of true behavioral intelligence. You stop being a participant and you become a clinician. You watch them squirm. You watch the questions fail, and you realize with absolute certainty that they never had any real power over you. They only had the power you surrendered through your answers. While others chase explanations, you watch patterns. While others doubt their intuition, you trust observation. That is not suspicion. That is sovereignty. And sovereignty is the quiet superpower that separates the confused from the clear. Now you know the game. Subscribe to see reality clearly.